Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, this is what we're starting. I hope you guys are having, I was about to say a good quarantine. That's not happening at all, in the slightest, so I apologize for that. But I need a little bit of escapism, as I'm sure most of you all do, and I recently got this in the mail. If you guys haven't seen it yet, hopefully, my reading blog of me reading and reacting to the Hunger Games series is up, and as I mentioned in that video, I'm going to be following up with this chunk of a book. This is obviously The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is following President Snow. It's a prequel novel to The Hunger Games. You all have heard and know about what this is, so I've been doing my best and my darndest not to have this spoiled for me. I haven't looked up reviews, I haven't looked at anything, and so we're gonna hop into this today, get it started, and so come along on this journey with me. It's gonna be good. What? I'm on the first page and I've already had like a WTF moment. I don't know if this is gonna have spoilers or not. I feel like I'm just gonna have to... What? For those of you who've read it, his family relation on the first page, very unexpected. We need to talk about how Suzanne Collins writes the best flawed characters ever. They're so dynamic and you just want to hate them so much, but then they do these redeeming things that you're like, but why? I'm literally only 100 pages into this and this book has already taken me on a frickin' trip. Also, Dr. Gall? Is that her name? Dr. Gall is psychotic. Completely. That's not a spoiler, just a fact. I'm trying to figure out how many spoilers to include in this vlog, but goodness. She's insane, which makes sense given what she does. No spoilers, but oh my gosh, she's crazy. So yeah. Things just got so dark. But it's the Hunger Games. What do you expect? Hi. Okay, so it's been a little while since I've checked in on this. I am officially now 194 pages into Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I have so many thoughts. So I think at some point I'm going to do a spoilery section to this video because I need to talk about certain things that are going on. But overall, I do not know how to feel about, oh my gosh, I can never think of how to pronounce his name. Coriolanus. I don't know how to feel about him. I feel like he's so twisted in the head in some parts, and then he's like super like compassionate focused in other sections, but he's like so crazy. He's so crazy. Like he's so delusional and thinks he like, but his thinking is so rational at the same time. Like it kind of freaks me out a little. I don't know how to feel about it. It kind of terrifies me, to be honest. And yeah, just the way his mind works is so bizarre. I also really appreciate that we're not getting it directly from his perspective, that it's, oh my gosh, I never can remember the version, third person with this, and it's not like in the Hunger Games where it was Katniss's like actual perspective. It's like, yeah, third perspective, I can't remember. You guys know what I'm talking about, but I like that, but then it also just feels very, I don't know, it's such a weird, he's such a bizarre character, and I'm almost halfway into the book, and there's a lot that's been happening, and it's very along the same lines of Hunger Games in just that there's just these shocking end of chapter moments. I will say the romance, again, like with the Hunger Games, she's not a romance person. This is never a romance like that you really understand. And same with the Hunger Games. Like, you never really knew where Katniss stood, and she never even really got it. Like, I don't know, it's so unconventional, and I love Suzanne Collins so desperately, and this is like, I'm really enjoying this. I just have a lot of feelings. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna do a spoilery talk about this at the end of this video. However, there's like 120, 230 pages that I have left, and I am so confused on how this is gonna wrap up. Like, so confused, because I just want to know what's gonna happen. And it's not like it's a dragging book, but it's definitely reading for me so much slower than the Hunger Games was. Like, I feel like the Hunger Games had something happening like every single page, and this is just very much a slow burn of a book. Like, there's sections that go by really fast, but then there's sections that just kind of drag. Like this section that we're in right now, which I'll talk about in the spoilery part, is just going by so slowly. Like, nothing really is happening, and I just feel like it's building to something, but I just want that something to happen already, and it's just very slow. Also, the romance isn't really doing it for me, but Suzanne Collins' romances in general don't really do it for me, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But I'm having a really hard time believing this, and I just don't get the vibe from Coriolanus that, like, he's in it. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I just want to know what happens, so freaking need to know. My goal today is to finish this freaking book. I have like 100 pages left, and I just need to crank it out. This book has really started to drag, and I've now started watching reading vlogs of other people's experience with this, and it seems pretty similar. Yeah, I think it's just hard to read this story not knowing how it's going to end, and there's a lot of interesting things. I watched a reading vlog with, oh my gosh, she does Tome Topple. I'll insert the name here. I was watching her reading vlog of her experience reading this, and she did bring out a lot of points that I don't think I've really talked about in this so far, but just the aspect of Coriolanus being very hard to read as a person, because you know how he's gonna end up, is very icky, and he's very possessive and manipulative, and it's just kind of gross to read certain aspects of him. Like, you don't like him. You know from the beginning of starting this that you just don't like him. And he's just very elitist and very gross. And I completely agree with most people's sentiments on that. So yeah, I don't know. This book is taking me way longer to read than I thought it would. It's dragging a little bit, which I did not have that issue with for the Hunger Games. I read those so quickly. So I'm just kind of interested. I feel like the last 100 pages, hopefully things are going to really pick up, but yeah. And then the other point that I found very interesting was, well, okay, including a spoiler clip, so skip ahead to wherever to skip this part. But, so Haymitch is listed in the original trilogy as being the only district winner for 12 prior to the Hunger Games trilogy. However, Lucy wins the games. So how do they, like, get rid of that? Because in the series so far, like, no one really watches the games like they do in the original trilogy. Like, it's just not a thing. No one really cares outside of the Capitol. So how does nobody know that there was another winner? I really want to know how they cover that up and, like, what happens to her. I feel like she's gonna die. I just have a vibe that Lucy's gonna die. And that's what's gonna be the trigger of him becoming full-on, like, Psycho Snow. I'm making the hypothesis. We'll see if I'm right. That was a lot. And I don't know how to feel. I have like 50 pages left, and someone just died. And I did not see it coming. The feels real. It's done. It's finally done. I've been reading this book for weeks, and it's done. And I don't know how to feel. There's so many things in this book that are so icky and so problematic, and so many things that they could have gotten so much more in depth on, but just glossed over. I need to sit down and do like a spoiler-filled section for this book so we can talk about all of the things, but I'm done. I'm freaking done, and I really hope this doesn't send me into a reading slump. 4 stars. Really good. I love Suzanne Collins. I'll read anything she writes, but like this book was a lot. A freaking lot. Let's discuss, shall we? So I just finished the book, as you guys saw in the previous clip, and I just don't know how to feel about this book. I just finished watching Samantha's or Thoughts on Tomes reading vlog reading this, and she had a lot of good points that I kind of thought similarly to while I was reading this, and obviously this is going to be the more spoilery section. So things that I really did like about this book: I really enjoyed the Easter egg aspect of kind of the nods to the original trilogy. I thought that was a really great tie-in. But in a lot of ways, I think similarly to like Sam mentioned, it just didn't really need to be necessary. Like, I dragged getting through this book, and I read the Hunger Games trilogy. Again, it was a reread, but I read through those books so quickly. Granted, this is like 2 times the size of one of those books, but there was so much of this book, especially in the last section, that dragged so long. Like, and you kind of got to the end and was like, what was the point of this? He's a garbage human at the beginning, he's a garbage human at the end. Like, nothing really changes. He justifies everything that he does that's like so awful, and it just didn't really, I don't know, there were so many things still that I wish it would have gone differently. Like, and I was trying to think after I read this and after I finished this, like things that I remember reading in Mockingjay that I wish they would have explained a little bit more, like what happened with Tigress, like how did she end up in like the cat vibe that she did. I really wish they would have discussed that aspect of it. Like, I almost wish this book had taken place like 40 years later, like in the part of his life where like that all kind of unfolds, like just how he became the president itself. Like, I think that inclusion would have been so much more interesting. And there were just a lot of things that were mentioned but never really fully fleshed out, like Tigress's turning into a cat thing, or his dad and Dean Highbottom, or just the fact of like how there's like a mention in Mockingjay of how he like poisons people, and they never really touched on that here. Like, the rat poison was more tied to Lucy than to him, which I just thought was really interesting. And yeah, I don't know, just the ties of certain things, and it just was a really kind of cluster F of a book, to be totally honest. I love Suzanne Collins' writing. I think she writes so incredibly. Like, her cliffhangers at the end of chapters are perfection. Like, you literally just like I had so many points where I was like, oh my gosh, like, what the crap. Like, she writes violence cliffhangers so well, it's amazing. So the writing of this was incredible. I think just the story, following Coriolanus, following his life, just, and then he goes off to be a peacekeeper, but like, it was a vacation, according to Dr. Gall, who, by the way, Dr. Gall, whoever plays her in the movie adaptation of this, is going to be one creepy human, because she's the psychotic brain behind all of this. Like, she's nuts. So, no wonder he turned out to be even more twisted if he's studying under her for 4 years. when he's in school. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like there was just a lot of holes. Oh, and then whatever happens to Lucy, and the fact that like then no one remembers that that was a thing because they don't have TVs that work. Yeah, I don't know, there were just a lot of questions that I wish had been a little bit more fleshed out, certain things that I just really didn't care about that were way too invested, like the whole thing with Billy and Lucy I didn't care about at all. Snow's psycho possession of her just was very disturbing. So yeah, I don't know. This book was really interesting. I'm glad that I read it. I just have a lot of feelings about it that I feel like I need to sit with. But if you guys read this, if you got to the end of the vlog, please in the comments below let me know what your thoughts were. I would love to hear if you guys have read this book and what your impressions of it were. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give this a thumbs up if you want to see more reading reaction vlogs from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Subscribe to see more of my face, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!